Right, and welcome back. Manchester United lost to Newcastle yesterday, and the Newcastle fan base is taking it as well as they took the cup final defeat. They've absolutely lost their minds again. Someone definitely needs to be putting them in their place, but it wasn't us. Not yesterday. They absolutely deserved to beat us, and United were poor. I'm going to look at the 5 reasons why we were so poor. Number 1, steamrolled. I don't think we ever really got started. They were better than us in every single area, every single position. They were first and second to every single ball. That's the basics that you've got to... I don't know why, but you've got to have those basics. I don't know why we didn't have them. They were far more physical. They were far more up for it. We couldn't match their intensity. And then I think that allowed the crowd to get involved. And it's a big crowd up at Newcastle, and I think they all... played off each other and absolutely steamrolled us because of it. Number 2, Weghorst. So, absolute passenger. And he wasn't on his own. I thought the entire forward 4 was a complete and utter passenger. He's definitely a trier, but he is not up to the standard. He probably got some capabilities to be a squad player, but he started every single match since he's been here. There could be an element of tiredness in there with him. But the quality is just a little bit lacking, and I don't think there's anyone to blame with this. I think it's a case of he was the only person that was available in the window, and we got him in. And if it wasn't for him playing up front, who would it have been? You know, he started all of those games because Anthony Martial cannot start all of those games. So without him, you've got to rejig something else and play somebody else out of position because there is no other strikers at the club in the first team. So... it wasn't there. Martial did show a little bit when he came on, which you would expect because this is a man that was literally gifted on a plate the opportunity to be Manchester United's number 9 this season and has chose not to take it. I expect he'll probably go in the summer because of that. But Weghorst was non-existent. He's not made the claim to be United's number 9 next season either, although I think that his attitude and work rate might keep him around in the squad if there's a good price available from Burnley. But there was no threat on the counter. There wasn't really much on the transition, and he struggled in a big, big way. Number 3, McTominay. So he started in the 10, it seemed, and for me, that's just the wrong place for him to be. And as the game wore on, he did sort of switch around a little bit until later when we went with the kitchen sink formation. International football fools everyone. Everyone sees how people play for their countries and then assume that that's going to translate to the Premier League, and it doesn't because it's not. And international football is so far off the standard of the Premier League and certainly the top 4 of the Premier League. McTominay's never going to be the level to be starting for United week in, week out. It's just not going to happen. He doesn't possess the quality, he doesn't possess the vision, he doesn't possess the first touch, he doesn't possess the game intelligence. He is a hard-working player that might have his role within a squad to come and give somebody the night off because you need the different levels of players all the way through a squad. But if McTominay's starting for you in a big game, something's gone wrong. And the something going wrong is obviously no Casemiro being involved. United's win rate with and without Casemiro is disgusting. When I looked at where the chances were coming from, McTominay was always ahead of the ball. And as someone that's going to be in there for his defensive contribution as a bit of a destroyer, he's got to be in between the defence and midfield. He's got to be the one that's tracking runners. He was drawn to the ball. He was drawn to the man. Newcastle sort of aimed at him and then put balls in behind him because he was very excitably trying to press people, leaving massive gaps in behind him for the defence to get exposed. I think the first goal it was, United were... +1 is a defensive principle, right? So if there's one attacker, I want 2 defenders to try and cope with him. If there's 2 attackers, I want 3 defenders. +1. It's very, very simple sort of principle for defending. Newcastle's first goal, they've got 3 on Delo. We need another 3 players to have defensive security in there, and we didn't have it. They were overloading the shit out of us. They were 1v1 so many times with no backup for us. They absolutely flooded us forward, and I think we got 0 protection or organisation from midfield. And number 4, speaking of midfield, in there, outworked, outfought. Physicality was completely lacking. Bruno Fernandes, who we know is an absolute player, ran the game. You missed the quality of Casemiro and Eriksen, the 2 best progressors of the ball that we've got. we never really got a foothold in the game at all. Sabitzo's had really good season since he joined us, and he's had really good numbers to the point where you think, actually, he can do a lot of what Casemiro did. Not yesterday, he didn't. Look miles off the pace. Totally disjointed. Couldn't find another United shirt. Couldn't get a foothold in any sort of possession. Bruno deeper, we'd been thinking about it. Didn't really work. Maybe it was because it was Sabitzer. I think with the aerial threat that you get with Newcastle, I think McTominay being the deeper one would have always been a better option. But it is what it is. And finally, number 5, that's the top 4 in jeopardy. Should Spurs not Spurs it up tonight and beat Everton like they should, Everton now in a relegation spot, top 4 has gone from looking pretty set to nowhere near certain. We've got European football and the FA Cup still to contend with, which Spurs and Newcastle have neither of, which means they can fully focus on trying to get into the top 4. United might need to prioritise something. And to be honest, as much as we like winning the trophies, there's one in the bag. The Arsenal double is not going to bring anything in if we win the FA Cup and the League Cup and don't get Champions League football. No one's excited about that. Nobody is excited about that. Even if Liverpool had a parade for it last season, that's not a successful season for United. We got bigger standards than Liverpool do. If Tottenham win, that puts us outside the top 4, and it also puts them into 3rd, I think. They've played a couple of games more, but that means United are 5th behind Spurs and Newcastle. And even though we've only had like 2 defeats in the last 17, the draws that we've picked up have really started to hamper us. Not having Casemiro for the next 2 more games is going to be a massive, massive miss for us. If Tottenham carry on winning, if they manage to pick up a decent manager, if they get a little bit of a bounce that forces them through, Newcastle's tails are up. They've started getting some players they've had back from injury. United are up against it, and it might be time to prioritise what we go for. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on that one. I'll see you lot in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.